Welcome, Skyrock, to Beykaaru Vaahaka. It's very nice to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. You just played a show. How does that feel? Are we tired? Are we excited?
We can play 5 more hours.
5 more hours. Does the rest of the band agree?
No.
No, definitely not. We had to beg you to play another couple of songs and you did. So thank you for that. It's nice to have you guys back here. We're in Raba, and you've played quite a few shows here. And you guys as a band have done quite a lot, I would say, since you guys started playing here, just coincidentally. What are some of the things you have been up to so far?
Actually, we've been very busy. Festive season is closed though, so vara bavar gigs hama. So yeah, and then on a separate note, I think we all went vacation numbers though.
I think that's the case with any team. There's always people waiting to go on vacation though. I did want to quickly just introduce you guys as well. I know there's a lot to talk about. There's lots of things we need to get chatting about, but just quickly, maybe we can introduce you guys as a band. This is Skyrock, and Skyrock is a band that's been playing both original and cover songs at resorts for how many years now?
5.
This lineup?
Yeah.
6 or 7, I think, though.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Guys, I joined 2022.
Oh,
have we, I guess, 3.
3 years.
Yeah,
3
but
years in this
before-
lineup.
individually, and like then before I joined.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for that,
So
2018, yeah.
yeah.
since 2018. Yeah.
But not
It's a long
together.
time.
The
Yeah.
band exists
Oh,
since
we have been
2018.
five-
Yeah, 5 exists
5
since 2018. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rude.
So, I think as a band, you guys have obviously played quite a lot of different shows. You've played these resort shows where I think some of the energy may be directed towards trying to get people to dance. That's a big, like, I remember when I was in a band, that's always a big focus, right? Like, can we get people up on the dance floor? Can we like have a good time with them? How does that feel a little bit differently when you maybe step into a more creative space where you are not doing things on the fly, but maybe you're taking some time? What does that look like to you, just individually as creatives or as a band together?
I just feel like it's more comfortable. There's no really thing. Obviously, there won't be that pressure to, you know,
Make
you
make
know,
the thing.
like
Yeah.
make people dance, and then also there's no disappointment afterwards. Like misalka some shows, they don't really end in, you know, like a big crowd that's
Yeah.
like dancing.
Yeah.
So then when that happens, personally I do feel a little bit disappointed. Maybe it's just me.
But also, Ogaga, like it really depends though.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a very
It's a
listening crowd.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have listening crowd among us though. We
So
have,
well,
I
then
think.
I don't really feel. I feel like it's just more like after we try really hard to get them dancing, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't work out.
I think maybe like this is a good segue into something that I did want to discuss with you guys though, about me misalaka me libani varabod listening crowd. I have a jam that gig still feels very satisfying though, if you have a crowd and that's giving you lots of attention and then you play the gig, but then also misaka initiative kurako disappoint where when you really try to get some people to come up and dance and then that doesn't happen though. So I think maybe it might be some kind of connection with the audience. That's the thing we're chasing though. How do you guys go about finding that like little spark of connection in any gig, in any setting?
Me speaking of connection and also stepping into hama me kurimideki listening crowd aga hakado. I think us listening crowd aga we are actually able to be more of ourselves though. Where like listening and but they are
Enjoying them.
enjoying, yeah, they're enjoying whatever we are playing for them though. So in such a case, aslo mitanga waraginan kuleve amilla lavatabas and so I feel much free and ma connect to sveve and I think me misalaka in terms of connection audience we have engage kurave to do ane me Skyrock that focus kurane
misalaka mala shows sometimes what we do is like we kind of play fully divided. It's because I said sometimes.
sorry
Sometimes. Yeah, we try to just like playfully divide the crowd and then we're like, okay, let's compete and see which side is louder. Then people are kind of hyped up and they enjoy the show more.
Asto, I think mitaga mita then I think oga mesara me push kore do art resort to promote kommita nanna komme artist komme wattana artist ves emihega true self dakka wara push kore I think then hen resorts ge expectation inde band diyama then it's all about the bar sale do ere we also me hired a fire kora me bone that the bar sale nga just some ere emme matin just raka just we also hired so a resort gainess in the expectation so me then it's very difficult aslo hama munanya ginaris wara high end tantages gets are very different do ki tantaga so e mi ho nattuam sora mundago anga ole dana do
ever ka dana do
then yeah so yeah ei kanne the mita egota chance dete warasale do
I would say aslu mitaga arne hamagamus Nuff feel watch mitana bæur me kulen aate do continuously bæur me ehen annerugas me for me it's also very special the conversations we have before a show during sound check after a show misalaka demmagas aslu me arma Beykaaru Vaahaka kiya fast me kawarata kurumati mic we fanti begams me hama this is the same thing that happened maybe like 10 minutes ago though eta ekoluga hama ba account kurumati ge mes so my point is me I think connection goes way far beyond just an audience and the band though or the audience and the performer so maybe something that's very interesting for me is the connection to self I have definitely found a lot of solace and peaceful moments especially of reflection engaging with music by myself and Misuwala Kurahibani specifically band Eeman because there's such a big onus to work together but then also band ka anneru jahe the kommes waraka komme mihegges tafatu kommes fenna so how does that work for you guys when let's say you're not on stage you're not in the practice room it's just you and your instrument and your musical world so how does that feel to anybody does it not feel like anything to
no ane faffu hiwne faffu kanne faffu insha kanne zayanu adami Vaahaka dakkane anybody else bedanta
No, also what I will say is he spends like a lot of time in the studio like hours and hours so I feel like you would have a good answer.
So I didn't understand the questioning sorry about
okay basically me and komme me have this amilla just that time you spend in your musical world that as a form of connection that's different to the forms of connection that we just talked about the audience and the stage so now it's the context is completely different the kahala moment kihenan heye how do you find the connection to self with music
well I think also stage guys audience connect to muga badaluga ettara ma muhimmu karna band members are connect to plus your instrument a connection strong with I think audience connection is just like automatic karna
it's almost like just a result
so misal amilla ekani practice kuranya it's about learning and growth and exploring hey that's what I think
may I add something
yeah.
Faffu kulem weekaku 3 types of gigs though and benda ekko ice and play 3 nights then innane one night ane solo one night the then fafu enjoy kurang all three types of these gigs because I get to be eka hama me komme tafatu wattarege giggaves ane fafuwa I get to explore myself a little more like band ekko vejjiyamun ane ina nebune it's a lot about connecting with the band members ane misaka aso quite honestly ane to put it a little bluntly as well ane misalaka audience have boda engage nuwaniyo okay then as one of the front persons no front people Fafua Inshaya Zayan and Hen we are also kind of like responsible to engage with the crowd a little bit more then ane ekamakuves egotan engage nueve hindeggaves if ane band emmen sali connection negga ulenyamu to be honest ha boda matter nuve and most of the time egota vairu audience automatically ane eti engage ve do so yeah that's one thing
Like if they see us having fun, I mean, they want to be involved.
yeah
I think there's like I'm sure misa for me Nuff hama band tawka mehen ulung eruka ara gena honna hama ara hadik foliala and I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to at many stages in their careers
Mirrors.
yes and eka misaka etiga ves ane furitama kolu wara hama biruwanna panico an da ekan den fahon as sama realize veche misaka ane foli eluni mes ama hifa sakaraja hafa etives eka amilla miha ete except kuratan audience fenonima eves mihun gravitate fe da so misalaka stage matin me kahala dynamics me notice kuraveni da me kahala chiga me engage wani and then ane studio edyamas in anstibune ega ade ham war bodu discovery and growth da but what about when you put your instrument away no because music aharmen create kora at least for me doesn't only happen when I'm playing something no hama hingala nikume oleniko dima meheka dakka wahaka timmastus fahon astane ayana buni meetiga mitankol war salwana mehem vechi da eka hs meheka experience kora what are some influences that help your creative process but that are maybe completely away from the medium that you work in, which would be music. No. Does that happen to anybody in Zach? Any books that like stand out, movies or?
I feel like it's more like misal like YouTube. For me, then TikTok. If I, my algorithm is like very ginang and it's singing TikToks, and then I guess like the more I interact with those, I get related etchista though. So again then annan hama war sali ko kiya de it's just I mean kiya de me hu it's just kiya de me hu so eh hisabon let's get to things that I don't know no ni haven't maybe like I been doing wrong so that's I guess one like out
and I think that's an important thing though misalaka and I'm glad you talked about TikTok because Miharu that's not only a way to get things out though social media I think for a long time was just a way of people just putting lots of things out but now it's also turned into a way of hey avara bavaru necessarily non-creators maybe shouldn't say that but non-creators mibirani waki field aka eche daskoggen or interest wegen skill develop koggen and eche produce kura me honanu the misalaka we see lots of people making up like little songs from AI with prompts and they sound realistic as well but my point is ehem va moments ga miharu social media has also become a thing where the consumption level is so high that we are constantly bombarded with things so I think it's very cool that you as a creative person are able to take this thing and be like okay meni ahana nenge eche mia the way I engage with it is just by like taking that thing out of TikTok and then putting it into my life and seeing how that moves and I think my question mostly was around that like apart from even music things oh the bar music has come on I can see Nuff running okay it's gonna get sorted but I think my question revolved around that though like what are some of the influences that we take I think conversation may be one You, Fafu, you run a cafe. I'm curious to know whether that has any kind of influence. I know lots of people go there. You have spent a lot of time there. Do conversations kind of tie into your creative process? Does that happen for anybody else?
I think it's fair to say that there are moments where I am very sociable. There are moments that I would rather stay a bit ekanido. Ekamaku socially kuda active feel vela fenna wagutu. I do engage with a lot of people. Me broistaga I try to talk to a lot of people. Eki backgrounds eki miho. And I don't know creative process angeti levunu kame. Ekamaku I do understand ekada eki mihunge eka struggles and everything a little bit more though. It's nice to actually engage with a lot of creatives and because of that I think maybe impact koffana but fafu bunada faanangane misalaka writing process ka connection nengane hede do misalaka album ga suri bay lavata we were writing for me album was mostly kada concept no it was a concept album then ekamaku liunu echita misalaka faffu liefa huri lavata faffu liefa hunnani ka lyrics liefa hunnani faffu relate wa kamaka kuda ko base koffa no then I think that kind of helps me and yeah I think that is okay simply put
As a society tere wa kantattakum is we get inspiration by story by tantam unnane gotham is inspire again laugh by lavataka.
I think that's another great point though, about how artists sometimes are either expected or they take up the role even having no expectation to comment and critique on the societies and communities that we live in. Misaka as artists, and this brings me to another interesting point, which is when you're trying to say something, how do you decide, am I going to say this in this way or in another way, or do I say this thing or do I not say this thing? Because yes, art is a very powerful thing. It gives you the skills, it gives you the headspace and the medium to express yourself, but how you go about that in today's world is also something to be considered. So has that ever kind of hindered your creative process, or did that push you into a different direction when you were making the album, or when you were making anything else, deciding what to play in live shows before the album even maybe?
I mean, I think that's always something we have to consider, like what kind of crowd we're playing for. Misalaka, there are topics that are like not really then taboo, I would say. So ekala topics you don't really see a lot of,
Yeah.
and the horn agrees with me.
Yeah, that's always a good sign.
You don't really see a lot of songs about explicit topics like that.
Yeah.
So even now I feel I am hesitating to say it out loud.
Yeah,
but
of
I guess
course.
context to me do understand what I'm talking about them.
I
So
think
it does like hinder that, it does like restrict you and put you in some sort of like box.
Yeah.
May I add something? Ikamaku hunnanado ebba lavataka and we are not gonna mention specifically kon lavataka kame. Maybe someday audience engana kande Nuff engana.
as of this moment, maybe not.
Hunnana aso ekahala topics indirectly hunna lavata. Then I think that is as much as we can do at the moment, but hopefully a little bit more, I guess.
And I don't think that there is necessarily a requirement that ekahala taboo kamaka behe Vaahaka dakkanya, that it has to be very blunt and obvious. Hama it's part of it me creative gotaka whether you like used an innuendo to say something or a metaphor. These are all tools that we can use to express ourselves. As artists, maintaining that safety for yourself in anywhere you go in the world, because not everyone's going to agree with every single thing you say. Though, like that won't be true for all of us here if we just were to have a conversation. So yeah, definitely. I think there's also strength in doing it that way, because then that you just leave so much for your fans to think about and figure out. No? Now, in a band setting, we are continuously collaborate. No? So what happens when this dynamic of collaborating, like how does it feel to be in a band where there's like pushback and then like people recede things and then you continuously, I think it's like a process of, it's like what's a good metaphor? I can't think of any. But basically it's just like you rinse and repeat. So how does that feel for you guys in a band right now? Just this idea of collaborating, whether it's like playing live shows or writing things.
Collaborating with each other?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you are all individual artists. You are collaborating together in a moment to make something, right?
To me, Fafwa very important to have a good time. So I would say, vara maja to collaborate with everyone from Skyrock. Yeah, just keeping it short. Then, aside from music, we have me inside jokes and angole me hungole.
Already
Hey,
seen
emme
it.
do asso. Me emme. So, ekahala kantata vesaslo. We know each other kannega fudara kabboard do. I think, yeah.
I think when you're in a band, you will it's once again inevitable that there will be moments of disagreements. Then yeah.
No, ekahala kantata vesaslo we
No,
work
I
out
just
though.
want to say like it's not always like easy breezy.
Yeah, of course not.
And I feel like we shouldn't expect it to be. It's like hama offi hege terega westeng there is drama though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have drama, but
Then hama much like any other career, I think hama meetings as bavanga no.
yeah.
Me vara serious wahakas dakka. And ebba fahru dima kodla hama sakara jahadam. So
Yeah, we just have to understand like komme mehege was personality enna koi. It'll be very difficult to deal with like being in a band together and working together.
Just that like coming together and accepting the me mihemva miheke me mihemva miheke ahna mihemve mihemvema. All of those understanding is important. Then misal let's say just a hypothetical situation. Yeah. Let's say you're in a position where you have to create something to a deadline. No? And now I think we are going a little bit into this conversation around the new people who have just come into the scene. Because we are seeing lots. No? We're seeing lots and lots of people. And even as someone who's not actively playing lots of other resorts or playing in Male, I still have met lots of young people who have come out and are performing and writing their own original music. So in that situation, let's say you're in a position to create something on a deadline. With these younger people in mind, what might you say about the way you approach things? Because discipline is a big part of any creative experience, I think, right? So how do you think that relates, and what might you guys want to say to anyone?
Aslo and what I noticed is Fudevaraka Gina Mihar, like younger bands that has come out recently. Then Warang happy to see that most of them are making their own music. Amami Konsho Taslaff and the other one. Asasi class,
Asasi class.
there was plenty of bands of plant, and most of them had originals. Probably most of them are below 21 so to have that mindset, yeah, younger it's a really good thing. I think a mindset netta was like there's been like a gap in between like original music kudako a younger generation ga maybe like there was a time a couple of years back, I think 12-15 years back, there was a music scene where happening of a die down with those college. So after that anekka rangalo gotakang eba madu madung eba nukume kudinnachi, they are doing pretty well, honestly. I'm very happy that the things they are coming up with, they have their own unique sound. Then I think adi salitangola kemen dima for practice ko jam koran dima, that's a very important thing for me. Ekanik gega hama komo me skola vedana do gega indege gamo ekkom band salivani, like the band ke sound creators and when everyone comes together jam egotang emihun wara time degan kurati varsale do then I hope they like eti damahatta nakama dendo ama kuriyadda waraka, and then we see more bands, more people, more originals coming out. Yeah,
Then also we are very lucky to be in like like field of work which doesn't really come with a lot of deadlines.
Yeah.
So relating to that,
Yep.
I feel like hisabung, especially younger generation, I mean younger kids who are like starting out, they would be even more disciplined even because they have that passion like when we're younger we're just more passionate about
Yeah,
things
yeah,
so etiga hifata I think Korea aran baki hisaba sorry baki hisaba ko you kind of just start to settle. I think that's good, but also
Like it's
not
a double-edged
good for like the
sword,
long,
though.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sometimes, but how we do is like me deadlines dibuna in the love let's say like
It's okay.
obviously annana though like styles ke mihum mewleni tha what we do is clash wa hisabam we take a vote the megina mehum keenange me ti kuriya gendana a lot of times we do kannage
Yeah.
mixers ke ane song takuge mixers ane categories I think that's the way kannage push it forward tha mere hen clash wegen hutti nonis Vaahaka goes hisab diyum koring we have to come to an agreement kannage eti kannage younger generations I think they will be doing it better
they actually I think they are doing better kannege eha mebuni ebband dana fenun kannege hus original sara kolo hira panna band kanne I think enkiya band air emi hon hama hus
Sali name
originals
baraka.
kanne
Ah,
kone
that
re
was
cool.
like 5 originals eha yangirek 5 or 4 kanne kone hama very impressive hama adi there some like adi hama ehem bands sama millechi hada do wadegen hama like ehakaddu school adi o level nemun kudin takassa bola hama millechi hada so it's a good thing as say like age ka to have that mindset is really good thus.
Also, one more thing. Miharu, as creatives, and we tend to want the perfect product. Eka me perfect product nerende masakke kokko product and unerevi. Hureve fahar sasto ade. Eka mako ane. We try not to make it happen. Egota. The baki ehem again. That is one of the reasons why our deadline is it is important.
Yes.
हम असले love दुहा खुनुनी में otherwise. Or like let's say full album snuni made because we will be creating creative thoughts and
I think it's like I will have a very open and honestly say I am very guilty of that. I am a person like that just need to be recorded and released that I've had for years. Then ඒච්චිස්සාගෙන් එක්සයිටුවගෙන් උළුන් දොස්කොළු නුවෙල් ලිබේ අනේ ගිග්තක බෑවරු ජාගෙන් නුදිබ ඒරකො එහුරි එහා එච්චි කුලේකශ දැන් එක ගික්කුලම් කුරම් ෆෂාෆ එජාගත ලිබෙන් ෆෙෂීම දැන් ඒ ලවතක් කියා කියා මහර එලවත බාවීරස් අදිස් රෙකෝඩ් කො රිලීස් එන කුර and I think this is what I mean by discipline and this is a point particularly with this set of songs hama nafa wara undaguwege mewole kam and I think an advantage of being in a band in situations like that is misaka let's say Zion is feeling like this about this song adi mehena nona but then ti bemme misaka me nona ke me rahar meya masake kurata aharu des vecche nimuni it's done and I think this is something that younger musicians coming out now would benefit from kuri baga ingigen misaka it's okay to say මිලව දෙන්නේ මුනේ මේකන් ඉතුරු එවස් එච්ච දෙන්න ආලාන නෆන් අදිවෙස් සමවර උඳ ගුවා කමගේ deciding when something is finished
I think there are some songs am hengassu vaane songs aslo hama you want to make it hama perfect they hama it's ane artist ekadda I mean being artist wara undagu kamen as hama koriha emenas waagame perfect eti beenumane dakkan so it's okay but still it's a problem I think we have to find the net
but that's the thing though like if you are really being serious about your craft you will be improving every day because you'll be working towards that so improve varaka when you listen back to what you have misalka drafted it won't be enough so waki hisaboge you just have to let it go and then ඒති මිසල්ක record කොෆ්ෆ release කොෆ්ෆ then when you perform it live ඒ හිසාබෝ you can show ඒක ඉතුර
and also ane it's your product though fahum best versions hada hama nere vena though so it's never the end like
lot of times it's the fear of like how others will react to it kanne if fear ma bodu ejja you cannot be gina lawata unnane hama gina we further let's say phone ga voice memo anne unnane
so personal so ala kanne me the ideas flesh out kurang ti me hon konka hala approach ekken gola
me I'll tell you one thing Faffu actually I'll tell you two things okay I don't know keep munak kiyam feshi mege anyways Faffu ge tankola kuring engolum phone it's I kept recording ideas some ideas were fully composed songs then okay just the guitar and the voice ekamako it was fully finished songs though I got a phone halaku and I swear Faffu recover nukurevi gellunu about 20-25 varaka songs I'll never get those back so that is one of the reasons why eti astu fresh kom hutta hada nimuni maden me are eti products got verify innama it would have been there though then ane what was the question again
Faffu kondus kolangai
that was way before if Faffu Solberry was good kina
phone hada ta kunge nerefan service
eti no I would know eka mihar hunnane bayal lawata Faffu recreate koffa misalakan Faffu gamella laveyen innana furadiya kiyacha lave but elava ves Faffu jehuni den handan huri gotakan hada and man it's nowhere close to what the product actually was so this is one of the reasons why kannenge et jehene nereng do hennuni mihama ves nives vedanakama Faffu vido
arabes tim vefe bohargas laptop halako eru lanka when I started playing eru foswa goto echi then hedum waraka hedum baawaru ama guitar licks and guitar riffs echi honnana baawaru then e gellon gota halako e gota then diye then ega you know like most of it I don't even remember ama ekka fahung then ekka me male as fat ekka fetti iruda wara beenum vida to me make a band and do those stuff e point ang tana laptop halako then ke bologa nek you know those things just think
Yeah.
itangeri echi recover koron names mone backup negify in names do you know those but they are what to do there are things how we can't you know
Just unforeseen.
Yeah,
unprepared,
yeah.
though.
Nuff, can you refresh the question?
I remember the question.
Okay.
Can I answer the question, please? So, aslu a momentum ga hifettung. That is the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I don't really, play an instrument then well enough to, be a solo musician. But what I have to do if I want to take it further is I have to share it with someone else.
Okay.
I have to share it with the rest of misal kang isha bolang ay sikuntu ke rago. Then sikuntu ke rago, if I want to develop it into a song properly, I have to show it to someone else. I could learn to play with logic and all that, but then I guess the easier way is just to like show.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a band though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have a
So
husband
I feel like that's the because I showed it to them, we were able to develop it
Yeah.
into an actual song,
Yeah.
and it will never be lost because it wasn't just in a laptop
Fair.
or a phone.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Haka, this is a very good example of a case where, yes, you could learn how to play around with Logic and record demos and all that.
But community is what
Exactly.
is important.
Yeah.
Okay, like technology is also important. It's like you can't really go without it, without using it, but it still doesn't compare to community.
Yeah,
That's
of
it,
course. I mean, something even as simple as when I came back after studies and all this, I was badly wanting to jam with as many people as I could. I would call people. I would call you all the time. The abadham jam korang Nuff is going. Because there was something very very strongly in me that what a bodu difference feel misaka okay logic ka hama bass track ala program ko for adi logic ken drummer kiya the hum click kollar hum bodu drum track vesa so ehuri hachis ala hum kula vidana the hum solo vis kuram vela vis kiyame but there's no pushback the mistaken error sakarajja fa en denginna meha mistake jassa meha ves nule the ekahala vis echne so 100% I think you're right. I also do think with all this technology that thing that holding on to that momentum, that is also an essential thing though. So I think knowing on some level, even if it's on a phone, to record these things to some extent though, just to capture that idea is important. But something I'm trying to do now is to sit down and write at least like 2 verses and a chorus. Bridge okay though for now. Bridge can come like when we go into the studio, but at least to have like a couple of verses and a chorus. And then ehuri just leave sit down and then do the phone recording or do the Logic session recording or whatever it is. Though. And we've talked about a little bit about the album, but we should say the name of the album and say how it has come here, and maybe talk about the fact that you did a whole big show in Olympus, right? I'm just plugging things in now because these are we might forget though,
Yeah.
and this is important to mention. So album is called Samuga.
yes
Yeah. How long in the works was it?
ඒකස්සෝ මසක්ක ෆෙෂෝනී
COVID.
yeah right before
Right before
COVID,
COVID.
2019 yeah
Before I joined.
so furtama enias hataroda album then
And then I
it was an
joined.
EP and then Insha joined and then it turned into a whole concept yeah and EP was any the conceptual gotaka but still ete then mara
Like
boda
fully-
hama fully you know hitalawata 11 lavada 11 songs 12 songs 11 songs
Also, and we were about to leave to ITB, the
Germany.
Damwegen. Then we had contacted me studio as well, the recording engineer Kahuri Hatche Hamajassa, and we actually paid me for the apartment and everything. Though Hunna Tana end lockdown happened though. So I think ඒකන්න එක පුරුතම loss. ඒ එතන නුදැවෙනිස් loss though. But anyways Airways we had planned show Ravayero and a theatrical show. So that was the thought from the very beginning.
Okay.
And yeah, all the songs followed Hama with that plan in mind, I think.
Interesting. I'm just curious, and I'm sure lots of people watching, especially musicians, would be curious about this. In the middle of COVID, when you were writing demos and putting things together, how did that feel? Because obviously, misaka dima vevunas veverni mihar wagata kanundo amavara plan koggem vara kuda wagutu kolaka vakitanaka or under lots of restrictions tada. So misaka, how did that feel? Exactly what we talked about just now, this connection community element. Emmen ekko asking miheng nikunna eti mi create kuran jehani that same feeling, but emmen duru gati begenne during COVID. How did that feel? How was the mechanism?
I think it for me it was like in a way very good kanne ha those ko ek dima eveni wara hado misaka de duwas fon dima tin dos fon dima vedan dima wara fresh mind එක විසයි දිමාවන්නේ මර මින් කොබ්බෙන් දොහම මින් දිමාව එච්චන් හදවන්න මස්සෝ ඉඳ කුඩ කොංගේ but කීනේ හදානේ වර මස්සෝනේ ෆොන්නනේ අස්සෝ පොණඤ්ඤ but en දුවස් කොල්ලා දිමාවයරෝ like a කුඩ time කොලක දිමාවඤ්ඤ I think creatives do a much better job kanne me time restrict way the spaces thing time
I think restriction is a very powerful thing though.
Am hama warang ekka warasali echi yada it is so
I
egota
would also say so this band works very well under pressure.
yeah
Because do you guys realize Reva was hedi right before music fest and practices terega Reva hada and also then hevalla tayyar wasede chana chaage kore
ඒ ස්කොම්ම සස්ලෝ අනේ එඩකං හදන්
එඩකං හදම් වගෙන් අනේ ඩෙඩ්ලයින් එක නිම්මි නිම්මි රෙමිහොංග හබරන්නෝ
strict deadline
එච්චෙන් ඒස් එක මේති නිමුන්ගේරු ස්ටෝරියස් ගොලිකන්ද
and then kind of I think I'm glad that they didn't get back to us.
Great song though.
Yeah. But yeah, also COVID terega maybe COVID tere do de COVID terega ane salikame beswi because ane when we were finally able to meet and work on something together ane nharminde etta kaade fata do huddata kachina gage so adevu ni thive astu we spent a lot of time together then danives misadaka eki savas boygen etadan echi genes hang out ko lavatalliye ane I would say actually vara gina lavatawge eki parts the liya ane emmege contribution aso dibe though and that is something aso I really do enjoy ane as one of the people who write the lyrics fafu vara salikamenge emmege input libun or at least fafu vara gina half a sunnane kannege guys me this verse here and ekkada fafu vara salive mimi hun ekkada hama then fafu negimena first me hunta da so hama vote konnime ekala kandatta and I like it also
Nice.
එදොස් කොළ හොන්න දිමා ෆස් අනෙන් හැම කෙනෙක් එම්ම එක්කොන් දිමාන වස් මිසක එද්දෝග මර ඉනාන්න ෆෆුව
yeah
ස්ටුඩියෝ කෝ වද අය අනෙල්ලව කොල්ල වෙත්තේ කොම්මසෙල්ලව
hey ane
බරවෙලි බබු බරවෙලි බබුරේ නෝන්ත එලව ඒ කොතක් නැච්චන් ඒ අස්සු මිසක එම්මෙන් එක්කොන් දිමානෝ එකම දැන් එහි ෆෑන් වස් උණකේ බරවෙලි බබුරේ
paravela babura
So you guys said album was like conceptual album the thing album nerungiruga theatrical element lafa Olympic show pevi the and it having I think it may be fair to say this particular album has come out of lots of challenging good chaos, maybe I might say. Though, whether it be like running between not only resort gigs, local shows, practices, video shoots, writing sessions. So me huriha kam mehem wamun aneka in the middle of COVID. So I think it's very, very cool that you guys were able to bring together this connecting like feeling of in this album of having worked adiha duruduruga tibegen madumadun dimavegen, like I said, amongst this chaos. So just very quickly, how did that feel at the end of that night? I saw you guys at Olympus right before and I saw you right after. I can tell you there was a difference that was stark as day and night. But specifically, how did that feel?
Me, the next morning, I didn't know what to do. Then hama hela fauluni saboyegen them bes kinke kurambi the because ekkada warabboda dedicate way for huri eru me show ya then show finally nimunima nengodu them bambi gotte best yeah it was very rewarding as well yeah
I mean, I didn't have enough time to think about like the morning. I had to get ready for my wedding.
yeah
I mean, yeah, it was few more
Wow.
days, so
That's
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, it was no break for me.
That's a night go were a weird feeling. Okay, full we were rehearsing the whole show. There's a show, aslu show ni mungiris. Okay.
That is Kulambeno, can feel the.
Regular check of a friend.
baby. Some of us were in the dress though. Well, okay. Also, me show finally nimma for den ekkada fahu lavaves nimma for den aharu emme fab stage එක side එකක්ද fab for den fafu was මින්නනේ බෝදෝ ගද්ද we just did it මිනිමුණි යද
No, Emma Fahulava Nimma for we didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
on stage.
honestly,
We were
yeah.
just like,
but ane
everyone just started leaving. I'm like, wait.
ane insa before you go there ege I saw 5 ga mood do 5 hama agotan gas den hundane men hei fa do then faffu kottas bune 5 me nimuni so bune me sadana me
Ena bune nimung feel and na
Yeah.
rehearse kuramu layam unstop.
I think astu adi 5 meeti tankola boda hitwan kanne ei me mone me originating member do
yeah.
me
Yeah.
bappa
Yeah,
band bappa me 5 me lawata kachi hadamun annata waraddu sajjarka asha inanna Hussain na band wada
People
faffu
joining,
as
people
leaving
and
and gotak gos
rejoining and
Yeah.
yeah gotak wara baaru kanta vefa the in between like me yaharu masha Hussain na faffu we were there inan kosan pura ayro visda me yaharu miti beer sabai like meeti nereveto album hedeto aharu wara masekkeddo hama e covid teresko uriyagam koffaden ere hama nimuniyema den Zayan hama personally hama anekkas ehen show ek kulala hivve to hama echi kule hitun cause war proud feel in a feeling echi nerevuni ma found e war masekke vi ada assa munanya
faffu edukolladange me that was the first time faffuge mulimi career ga the only thing in my mind was performing faffu warang appreciate kurang ane muli team appreciate kurang ane ekam faffu hama hasakom me nambuna fabunanyama achi was vara rangalu ekka daki kabunani
Stage manager though.
yeah stage manager do ane faffu den faffu ge personal experience do kiyade wen faffu nu jehe evves kama kamedu visnaka to the point where beenum waani femfuliye niveni waraka fem bone boy faane faffu eves hore faffu boni konka hada drink etto bala faffu boni 100 plus because edo den anen gaga waru
yeah.
sadeko 100 plus was hore do then egota vara perfect do oh yeah
There was even like when Hussain had a solo. It was like a long sequence.
It was the piano.
Yeah,
solo.
Yeah. So Egadig, that was when we could go and change because we wanted to do like an outfit change
Yeah.
to match the story. And egadega, there was someone to remove my shoes. That's how much attention to detail.
Yeah.
they
That
had.
assu hama.
We even practiced the walk.
Yeah.
And then we did like a practice walk, a practice change, and then we were like, okay, so we need to keep this here so that we can change our hung, and then
Meanwhile, my piece was done and nobody was on stage. And I
You
had to
left
like
alone.
improvise the
Yeah.
Tampala Guinea one
Yeah.
like 4 to 5 minutes. I did my own thing.
Yeah.
Assu overall assu the whole team that me made this happen with us sama. Assu we couldn't have done this sama. Mihuna nula. Ara
No, of
bodu
course
team
not
at the
at all.
think then me
Event
Basco
motives.
was event motives. So many people like
Munko,
Munko,
Bachi.
Bachi, yeah. Hama. The whole team hama made this like hama. Niga bunan hama. Best night for us. The
I think Avis me then Korean harmonic and the youngsters get Vaahaka some quickly just to bring that back for a second. That's something that young people coming out should know as well. I think that it really takes a village to put on a show. The you and ete varasali miharu misaka eba fene do kishota ke misaka tasla fa asasi kila so me de tereng blow up me bodu de show do me de show ge sam Nuff notice karo emme sali tankolaki hamam huri hamen ole do gos kule emmentan ule gos kantak gandu war gina mihun ule tan fene from their like prep stories and all of this though. So yeah, in terms of youngsters that might be something that I would add to think to that. Yeah.
So sali mihun ane metano band love western on the visit band hama mihun amillen morella love neriche mihun that song kuleta the thing show we seen it the ama they did it though, so mindset energy inima varasale I hope hama huriha band se photo kokke
Yeah.
hama to carry that forward though.
Yeah.
So it would be a good thing to what's missing in our music industry.
Yeah. And I think this is a good point to kind of tie everything together and say mire mitag midekkun huriha wahakatakakun. For me, one thing has become very clear though, that music, specifically music, is an extremely connecting thing, that in that it doesn't only connect the people on the stage, it also connects misaka generations of musicians, which is what we are seeing at Taslafa or Asasi Kilas or any like open jam at any cafe. There's a big age range of people playing, and there's an even bigger age range of people consuming and listening to that music. So thank you, Skyrock Band, for being a very, very vulnerable and important part in the music scene today, for putting out some honest work, and for coming and bringing the house down here tonight, and also sitting and having a conversation with me on Beykaaru Vaahaka. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Cheers.
us.
All right, Tedri, I think that's it.
Yeah.